Hey everybody, thanks for joining us. We are the Bourbon Brothers. My name's Gavin.
And I'm Jeff.
And we are drinking J.W. Dant Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey.
Yes, this is a Heaven Hill product. J.W. Dant was a early 1830s bourbon distiller who was known for using a wooden still to create his bourbon, which is not something I've ever heard of before, but I guess you're resourceful when you're out there on the Kentucky plains, with some hollowed out trees you're putting copper tubes through, but I digress. So this is, as we said, a Heaven Hill product. It's another one of their sort of lower tiered products. Not to say it's bad, because it certainly isn't, but it is about, I think, $16 for the 750 milliliter. This is a liter one I picked up for 21. So
great value.
Right off the start, good bang for your buck.
Absolutely. Jeff, as we continue our Bottled and Bond series, this is a Bottled and Bond whiskey. Proof is 100, at least 4 years of age, we know that. So we're excited to give this one a try, see how it compares to those other guys. Jeff, let's go ahead and start with the nose. So there's definitely a nice, unique Heaven Hill nuttiness to this nose. It's fairly buttery, so let's kind of go with like a peanut butter note.
Sure, yeah. No, I definitely agree. The more of these Heaven Hill, Bottled and Bond type bourbons we've tried, the more that nuttiness has become prevalent. Yeah. So I'm going with if it's a nutty bourbon, it's probably came from Heaven Hill.
Sure, it's fair.
But definitely getting some corn also on this nose.
Yeah, a nice little sugar cookie note, nice little sweetness as well.
Yeah, and a little bit of caramel to, to add to the sweetness.
Absolutely. Well, hey, let's take a taste. Cheers.
Cheers.
Jeff, a little less transitions onto the palate from the nose. Just kind of like a dusty nut, like a peanut flavor, overall nuttiness to it.
Sure. That corn's definitely still there. As well, I think a lot of the things from the nose are transitioning to the palate, maybe in slightly different forms.
Sure.
But generally the same type of profile.
Yeah, so I'm getting some burnt sugars, and the spice is kind of more subtle in the sense that it's more of a baking spice rather than like a black pepper spice. So instead of that sharp black pepper spice, I'm kind of getting more like cinnamon, maybe even a little bit nutmeg here.
Yeah, it's definitely sort of more on the back end after you get those sweeter notes up front.
Sure.
It gets more of some of those baking spices in there.
Yeah, it's a nice profile to it. The finish, again, predominantly those baking spices. It's a very quick finish.
Yeah.
It's very smooth whiskey for 100 proof, Jeff.
Yeah, I mean, as we've found out, these Bottled and Bonds, they're not bad bourbons at all.
No.
Now, granted, they're maybe not your best sipping bourbons, maybe fit well with cocktails,
yeah.
A little more so than a sipping bourbon. But again, I think this is a quality product.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a decent bourbon. Something I would much more be inclined to drink in an old-fashioned or some type of cocktail rather than sip on it neat. You can't beat it for the value. $21 for an entire liter, that's going to last you a while, for most people. So this is a decent whiskey. Probably not something I would personally buy again, but definitely something you're not mad at yourself for buying.
Certainly, yeah. I mean, it's, again, good value, 100 proof, Bottled and Bond. Definitely some decent things you want to highlight from this bourbon.
Absolutely. Jeff, for our Bourbon Brothers rating for J.W. Dant, how would we rate this product?
I think this gets a strong C. For a $16 bourbon, I think it's definitely a high quality product, but again, at the same time, it's a $16 bourbon. So,
yeah.
Good value for what it is. It does a good job, but it's not going to be something that, you're going to be sipping every day neat.
Yeah, the flavor profile, it's not incredibly complex. It's majority of that nuttiness, a little bit of baking spice on the end, and it's extremely smooth. Bourbon drinkers like myself and Jeff included, we definitely prefer those stronger mammoths of a whiskey as to oppose of something that's a little more watered down. But for the price range, you really can't beat it. Goes great in cocktails, old fashions, things of that nature. So if you've had this Bottled and Bond, J.W. Dant, or any other Heaven Hill products, don't really want to say lower tier, but definitely greater value bourbons, let us know how you think they may compare. And we appreciate you watching the video. You can find us both on Twitter at Bourbon Beer Reviews. Cheers.